Mr. Tewolde is the CEO. Now, let me tell you about this man. This is not the guy that was hired in Bay Street or somewhere overseas just brought because of his experience. He has worked from the bottom up. He has experience in all the levels. He was manager for the cargo traffic handling. He has started there in 1995. He was appointed as regional director for India and South Asia, and being in Bombay. And I'm just going to jump. In 2004, he was appointed as executive officer for marketing and sales to head the marketing and sales operation of Ethiopia. And in 2006, he was appointed as chief operating officer of Ethiopia Airlines to head the operating division and the airline commercial, flight operations, customer service, maintenance, and engineering. Since January 1, 2011, he has been serving as the CEO of Ethiopian Airlines. The CEO role of Mr. Tewolde has been of multiple award winner. In November 2012, he won the African CEO of the Year in 2012. And if we look at also in December 2012, he won the Best African Business Leader. And this was in Washington, D.C. In July 2013, he became the first African airline CEO to receive the Airline Strategy Award from Regional Leadership. That's an award that in 12 years history. The award is given out annually by the Airline Business Magazine, the publication of Flight Global, the world's leading aviation, which is the world's leading aviation media brand. In 2014, Ethiopian Airlines Board of Directors recognized Mr. Tewolde by awarding him the gold medal. In addition, his duty as Ethiopian CEO, or Ethiopian Airlines CEO, he has served as member of the Board of Governors of International Air Transport Association, which is IATA, Executive Committee member of African Airline Association, board member of Ethio Telecom, chairman of the board of Ethiopian Tourism Organization, board member of Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, and member of Airlink Advisory Council. As you can see, this man has vast experience. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, can you join me in welcoming the CEO of Ethiopian Airlines to the podium?
Good evening. Thanks to Nola that I'm not standing in front of your dinner because most of it is done. Excellencies, ministers, ambassadors, distinguished guests, in a gathering of this nature, such a large gathering, it may be difficult to recognize all distinguished personalities, so suffice to say all protocols observed. It's a pleasure and a special honor for me on behalf of the more than 8,000 Ethiopian Airlines employees to address such a distinguished gathering this evening in the first African-Canada Business Forum. First of all, allow me to thank the organizers of this event for their wonderful job in getting us together this evening and this week. My thanks goes to the former and current leadership of CCA Canada, and a special thanks and recognition to my best friend, Mr. Nola, for his passion on Africa. We have met several times in various conferences. He has boundless passion, as you have seen a few minutes ago. And thank you, Nola, for the generous introduction. We at Ethiopian Airlines are very passionate about the airline. And that is the main reason and success factor for the airline to serve the continent in good and bad times for the last almost 7 decades. So, in talking about Ethiopian Airlines, I can spend the whole night keeping you here, talking a lot about the airline. But I will try to be brief, and I will focus on the connectivity in Africa, the continent of Africa, Ethiopia, and Ethiopian Airlines. And I can categorize the audience here into 2 categories. One, my African brothers and sisters, CEOs, ministers, and ambassadors who have come all the way to Toronto to explore business opportunities between Canada and Africa. The other category, again, are brothers and sisters from Canada who are here joining us to explore, again, business opportunities between Canada and Africa. Africa is a large continent, but unfortunately, a forgotten one. As you can see in the picture, it's a large continent. If you put China, United States, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, India, Mexico, Japan, and so on, put together, they're all in Africa. It's a huge continent. Investors, business people, you cannot just afford to ignore Africa. It's a huge continent, more than 1.2 billion young population ready to do business. Whether the Western Hemisphere acknowledges that and recognizes that and joins us or not, the 21st century is an African century. So Africa is rising. Africa is growing. And Africa is now the popular destination of foreign direct investment from all over the world. It is the second fastest growing continent in the world. 60% of world's uncultivated arable land. Untapped natural resources. 42% of the world's gold reserve and 12% of oil reserve, and more than 90% of diamonds. Economists predict that in the coming couple of decades or 3 decades, there will be 2 major crises in the world, food and fuel. And they are abundantly located in Africa. So foreign direct investment is going to come to Africa. And a fast-growing consumer market. Ethiopia, the lions are roaring. Ethiopia has also been growing, double-digit GDP growth for the last 1 decade. If you go to Ethiopia today, bygone are the days where the mainstream Western media was talking about famine, war, deprivation, poverty, and so on. Ethiopia is now busy building infrastructure, building dams, the largest dam in Africa, and the 7th largest in the world is being built in the Nile River. The cranes are busy, the dozers are busy, and the country is working very hard to construct infrastructure. The government has what we call Growth and Transformation Plan, a 5-year strategic roadmap, which is being completed this year, and GTP2 is being developed. And as you can see in the figures, quite impressive, and huge investment is going on. Canada, as Nola explained it before, it's a mining leader in the world with more than 3,200 companies supplying engineering, geotechnical, environmental, financial, and other services to the mining operations. And mining is very large in Africa. Canada ranks among the top 5 countries in mining, in global production of potash, uranium, aluminum, cobalt, and so on. And proven capabilities in infrastructure, aircraft, and train manufacturing. As you can see in the map, Canadian mining companies are all over Africa. Trade between Canada and Ethiopia is about 200 million and growing very fast. Sorry. Canada minted the Ethiopian 1 birr coin for Ethiopia. So we have 1 birr coin from Canada. Agricultural products such as spices and coffee make up the majority of imports from Ethiopia to Canada. Flours and injera made from teff, gluten-free, highly nutritious grain, which you will enjoy when you fly Ethiopian Airlines on board, are gaining popularity among health-conscious Canadians. Coming back to Ethiopian Airlines, most of it has been explained by Nola, but to give you a glimpse of our history and what we have been doing. First direct flight link between Africa and Canada with 3 weekly flights to Toronto. It's about 2 years since we started the Toronto flight. We have 17 Bombardier Q400 aircraft purchased from Bombardier, list price of about $500 million US. So we have been creating jobs for Canadians by buying these airplanes. We have full flight simulator for the Bombardier Q400 aircraft, again bought from Canada. Maintenance and pilot training capabilities for all the Q100, Q200, 300, and 400 aircraft. Full airframe maintenance capability, not only for Ethiopian Airlines, but for other airlines operating Q400 in the region. The Q400 is a core fleet of Ethiopian partner airlines. We have 2 airlines where we have major equity in Africa, Askai and Malawian Airlines. And if we see the history of the airline, it was established in 1946 with a major intercontinental flight in 1958 to Frankfurt. And the airline has brought the first jet service in 1960s to Africa, in 1962. And in 1960, when most of the African countries were getting independence from the previous colonizers, and the Organization of African Unity was being established in Addis, the airline served as a major connectivity and transporter of the Pan-African leaders. In 1984, again, the airline led aviation technology in Africa by being the first African carrier to bring the Boeing 767. We were the first African carrier and second in the world as a launch customer for Boeing 767. In 1998, we stretched our routes with the longest route to the United States. And in 2010, we continued our leadership by bringing the longest range commercial airplane, 777-200LR. That's what we are flying to Canada and to Toronto and Washington today. We joined Star Alliance in 2011, so we are a full member of Star Alliance today. And in 2012, we started Toronto, and the only direct connection between Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, and Canada. And in 2012, again, we continued our leadership in aviation technology in the continent when we became the first African launch customer for Boeing 787, the Dreamliner, and the second in the world next to Japan. So here is an African company leading the world next to Japan, even before Canada, getting the 787 Dreamliner. In 2013, we were the only carrier connecting Brazil and West Africa, and we are still the only carrier connecting West and Central Africa with Brazil. If it was not for our service, passengers will travel through Europe from Brazil to connect to West Africa. Going into the future, again, we will be the first one in Africa to receive the technologically advanced airplane from Airbus A350 in 2016. Today, the airline carries about 6 million passengers with 73 aircraft and the youngest fleet in the continent with an average age of about 7 years. The main hub is Addis Ababa. The second hub is in Togo, which is our West African hub. And the third hub is in Malawi. Again, that is our Southern Africa hub. We fly to 83 destinations across 5 continents, international destinations. And in Ethiopia, we fly to 20 domestic destinations, more than 8,000 employees. And as Nola told you before, it's 100% government-owned airline. So Ethiopian Airlines is a role model for whatever initiatives going on in Africa. The dominant opinion has it, unfortunately, that it looked like everything started in Africa as a failure. That's how it was projected in the mainstream media in the West. And the other one is all companies owned by governments are failures. But here is an airline defying both dominant opinions. If it is managed properly, government ownership also works. And we have companies like Ethiopian Airlines South African Airways, Kenya Airways, Egypt Airways, Egypt Air, Royal Air Morocco, and TAG Angola, and so on, that meet global standard and compete in the global stage with the mega carriers of this world. We have 1,330 weekly flights and more than 200 daily departures. And as I said, we are a Star Alliance member. Addis is now the best gateway to Africa from Canada, with 3 weekly non-stop flights, and we are ready to go to Delhi. Ambassador is here, and I hope Your Excellency will get the daily service. As soon as we get the permission, we are ready to serve Canada daily. So if my friends from Transport Canada are around here, it means that they are listening to me loud and clear. So we need a daily flight permission. Because the market is there, the market is growing. Canadian tourists are visiting Africa. So many companies are investing in Africa, especially in mining. And today, passengers from Canada are forced to transit through Europe, while we can take them straight to Africa with a non-stop flight. So I hope and I wish and I plead with Transport Canada for a daily service permit. Today, Ethiopian Airlines is the largest African network, shortest and most efficient connection to Africa, with a non-stop flight to Addis, immediately connecting to 49 African destinations with daily and more flights, and more destinations through equity partners of Askai and Malawi, and youngest fleet in the continent. As you can see in the map, you can leave from Toronto around 10 p.m. You arrive next morning after 12 hours and 30 minutes or 13 hours, depending on the wind. And then in a couple of hours, you can connect to 49 destinations all over the continent. So you have your lunch in wherever destination you want in Africa. The connectivity is amazing. It has been very popular since we started the flight 2 years ago with 2 flights. Now there are 3 flights with 777, and most of the time they are full. And we have been operating the 787, technologically advanced airplane. Of course, it has its own technical glitches, which is not uncommon for a new technology, especially so much advanced technology. But the airplane is an amazing technology in today's aviation world. It is 60% quieter than the current airplanes. It's more humid, reducing fatigue and jet lag. It has unique lighting, adaptable to outside environment, changing with the time of the day and night, individual IFE in economy class, and the airplane saves 20% fuel cost for the airlines, and it saves 20% carbon emission to the environment. As I said before, connectivity in Africa is no more an issue. Ethiopian Airlines covers 5 continents. The only inhabited continent that we have not covered in the world today is Australia. Otherwise, we are the largest network connecting Africa with China, 28 flights in 4 gateways, daily to Beijing, daily to Guangzhou, daily to Shanghai, and daily to Hong Kong, daily to Washington, 10 cities in Europe, and so many cities in Middle East, and the rest of Asia, and 49 destinations in Africa, and Sao Paulo in Brazil. Again, with our multiple hubs in Africa, connectivity within Africa will not be an issue when you travel either for business or leisure. With our Star Alliance partners like Air Canada, we cover 1,300 airports in 193 countries. So it's a vast network. Star Alliance is the largest and the oldest alliance in the world. Today, with our partner Air Canada, we cover the entire Canada and the United States with an immediate connectivity in Toronto. As I said before, 73 airplanes in service, most of them wide body, and 7 freighter aircraft, and we have 31 airplanes on order. Not only in passenger, but also cargo, we are the largest carrier in the continent. 15 African destinations, dedicated cargo, 7 in Middle East and Asia, and 2 in Europe. We carry about 200,000 tons annual uplift. The main driver of our cargo network is the export of flowers from Ethiopia to Europe. Just for your information, we export around 200 tons of flowers every single day to Europe. The airline is the fastest growing airline in Africa. Just to give you an idea of how much we are growing in 2013-14 performance fiscal year, our capacity grew by 17%, and passengers by 13%, and revenue by 21%. And over a longer period of time, in 10 years, the airline grew by 5-fold. Our revenue grew from $490 million in 2005-06 to $2.4 billion last year. In the airline industry, as you know, especially from 2008, following the financial crisis, the industry has been suffering, and it has seen the worst recession and the worst bankruptcy and losses. But Ethiopian Airlines has been always profitable, and today, as a result of this fast growth, it is the largest airline in Africa, the fastest growing, and the most profitable. Ethiopian Airlines plans long-term. In the airline industry today, the rule of thumb is financial formulation goes from quarter to quarter. But we have Vision 2025, where we planned to drive the airline for the next 15 years. It was formulated in 2010, so 4 years already into it, and the vision was to be the leading airline group in Africa. But already in some parameters, like revenue, we are already the largest in the continent. So my management team and the entire 8,000 employees are visioning and aiming and planning to grow the airline to $10 billion turnover from $2.4 billion today by 2025, around $1 billion profit, and the 83 international destinations today will expand to 120, and airplanes from 73 to 140 aircraft, and number of passengers will grow from 6 million annual today to 22 million passengers, and cargo and number of employees. And going forward, we will make the airline to an aviation, to transform the airline to an aviation group with 7 profit centers. These are our overarching strategies: fast, profitable, and sustainable growth. These words have special meaning in our vocabulary. Fast growth because we are located in the juncture of a fast-growing regions, the region of Asia, particularly China and India, Africa, and Brazil. In our strategic roadmap, we call Europe and North America as matured markets. They are very important markets for us, but in terms of growth, they are matured. So most of the growth that we are planning in the next 10 to 15 years will come from Asia, Africa, and Brazil. And if you draw a line, a straight line, between China, India, Africa, and Brazil, Addis is located right in the middle. So we have a competitive advantage of location. Cost leadership, and the airline will be 4-star airline with 5-star service delivery. 4-star airline means we are going to meet global standards in products and features, but we are going to differentiate in the service delivery. African flavored Ethiopian hospitality. Our cabin crew are multiple award winning, and they have been rated as the best airline staff service by Skytrax, a company based in the UK which rates and grades airlines. The other strategy is multiple hubs. Africa, as you have seen in my map before, is a large land mass, and therefore going forward, serving with one hub will not address the connectivity issue in the continent, so we will have multiple hubs. We already have 2, and we are working to develop a 4th hub in the Central African Republic. This is how we are planning to increase connectivity in the continent. Addis, which is already a popular gateway to the continent from Asia, Middle East, Europe, and North America, is going to be supported by a West African hub, which is in Togo, Lomé, with an airline called Askai, which we have established 5 years ago. And the airline is also growing very fast with 7 airplanes in service, serving 22 destinations and carrying about 500,000 passengers. Before we start Askai in West Africa, for those of you who have not visited the region, for a passenger to travel from Côte d'Ivoire to Togo, one has to travel to Paris and come back to Togo. And just to give you a glimpse of geography, Togo and Côte d'Ivoire are just neighbors. In between, there is only Ghana. So Askai has solved tremendous problem in the continent, especially in West and Central Africa. So Africans do not need to travel to Europe to visit their neighbors anymore. We've just established another airline in Malawi to serve as Southern Africa hub, and we have been discussing with the government of DRC to establish a 4th hub in Central Africa. The 7 business units, the international service, the regional service, and the cargo service, which is the largest in the continent, and catering service, and MRO services. For instance, the Bombardier Q400 families operating in Africa we have developed enough capability that we can service the maintenance and repair demand of that airplane in the continent. The Aviation Academy, which is as old as the airline itself, has made us self-sufficient in all our needs for aviation professionals. It's EASA approved, a pilot training school. We train our pilots. A couple of them are here today with us. Captain Ashenafi, who has brought us this morning from Addis, and the landing was as smooth as silk. Thank you, Captain Ashenafi. I don't need to tell you this because I believe most of you have traveled on Ethiopian Airlines once upon a time. And the feedback that I got from my private discussion is all of you are happy. Do you agree? Thank you. We have aircraft maintenance capability to maintain all the airplanes that we operate, Boeing and Bombardier for the time being. But when we receive the A350, we are also developing the capability, so we remain self-sufficient for all airplanes. And we also generate quite sizable revenue and income from maintaining other airlines' airplanes. School of Marketing and Finance and Cabin Crew Training School. We have more than 1,400 cabin crew, highly professional, all trained in Ethiopian Airlines. And we have full flight simulators for 737, for 757 and 767, the Q400, and in the next April, we are getting the 787 simulator also. And we'll be the first in the continent to get and operate the 787 simulator. Our Aviation Academy today can train about 1,000 cadets per year. And the plan by 2025 is to grow that to 4,000. So our aim is to solve all the expertise and professional deficiency, skilled manpower deficiency in the continent. As I said before, we have airframe and engine and component maintenance for all the airplanes that we operate and some of the airplanes that are operated by our neighboring countries. We always focus on the 4 pillars of our Vision 2025, the first being fleet. We have order of fleet for 32 aircraft and infrastructure. Most of the infrastructure facilities in Addis, in our hub, we own and operate most of it. New cargo terminal with a capacity of about 1.2 million tons capacity, new hangars, and the airport is also under expansion with about $250 million investment. The Aviation Academy, we have invested about $83 million, and we are also building a 4-star hotel. Human resource development and systems. Nola has explained about our awards. In the last year, we have got more than 9 awards. So the success has been recognized and acknowledged by industry experts. And this is an award given from Bombardier for 4 years consecutively for dispatch reliability of the Bombardier Q400 airplane in the region. You have so many reasons to fly Ethiopian. Fast and efficient connections to 45 African cities, convenient schedule, new modern and latest technology, award-winning cabin service, safe, reliable, and comfortable service, and more than 50 years of proven experience in serving the European and American routes. Ethiopia has a lot to offer to the Canadian tourists. Unfortunately, we have not done a good job in promoting the country's tourist attractions. The country is the land of Lucy, the oldest human fossil, more than 3.2 million years. Lucy has visited the US. Unfortunately, it has not visited Canada. I think the next trip should be to Canada. And until it comes to Canada, you're all invited to visit it in Addis. She's in the National Museum. And the daily beverage that you enjoy every morning, coffee, is Ethiopia's gift to the world. Coffee was discovered in Ethiopia in a region called Kaffa, and the word coffee came from Kaffa. Coffee Arabica is a very famous coffee from Ethiopia. Ethiopia has a unique alphabet, its own unique numbers, and unique calendar. Just for your information, we just celebrated our New Year last week. So Ethiopian New Year starts on September 11. I don't know why, because it's a long history, but January 1 is not our New Year. When you board Ethiopian Airlines, you will be served with Ethiopian national food called injera, and a spicy sauce called wat, and it has been very popular by most of our customers. Ethiopia has more than 80 different ethnic groups, and Ethiopia is a symbol of tolerance and peaceful coexistence. Just for your information, the first country which has accepted Islam without war is Ethiopia. So a lot of cultural festivals, historical sites, castles of old monasteries, and obelisks of Aksum, Harar, and Gondar. These are all historical churches and monasteries. Lalibela is a rock-hewn church built in the 12th century, fully from a rock. Christmas is January 7, and it has a unique celebration. Temkat is the Epiphany. Again, many tourists come from Europe to celebrate Meskel in Ethiopia and Temkat. These animals are unique and endemic in Ethiopia. Many tourists from Europe come to see these animals. Jalada baboon, birds, about 9 species of endemic birds, the zebra, red fox, and so on. Canadian tourists are invited to visit Ethiopia. These are the natural attractions in Ethiopia, with an active volcano flow in eastern Ethiopia. And Ethiopia is the land of runners. Starting from Abebe Bikila, the famous marathon winner in Tokyo, 1964, to the first African female Olympic gold medalist, Darartu, and Haile Gebrselassie, whom I think you all know from the international media. So, in summary, as I said before, Africa is growing, Ethiopia is growing, and air travel is no more a problem in Africa, and it is safe. There are airlines which meet global safety standards, and Africa is now in demand, but unfortunately, the Western Hemisphere is lagging behind. While China is flying to Africa, the Western Hemisphere is just slowly walking. And we invite you to give due attention and due focus to Africa in terms of investment, joint venture, partnership, and Africa is ready and open for business. Thank you very much.
At Ethiopian Airlines, we offer more. From the moment you step on board the 787 Dreamliner, our Cloud9 service will pamper your senses. Versatile LED lighting adds an amazing ambiance to our cabin environment. For long-haul flights, the lighting can simulate a full flying day, gradually changing through a spectrum of lighting scenarios that will help you better adjust to your destination. A lie-flat bed will encourage a restful flight. Large windows make every seat on our 787 a window seat, and spacious bins offer ample stowage. Our award-winning cabin crew is proud to offer you a variety of menu options. Designed with lower cabin altitude that increases humidity, our 787 enables you to arrive feeling much more refreshed than on any other aircraft. Economy class passengers will experience comfortable seats that offer more legroom. Seat back screens for every passenger add to the overall experience. As part of our vision to link Africa to the world, Ethiopian Airlines flies to more than 75 destinations worldwide. We continue to open new and exciting routes, including Sao Paulo, Shanghai, and Toronto. As a proud member of Star Alliance, we offer seamless service no matter where you are flying to in the world. Come experience more. Ethiopian Airlines, the new spirit of Africa, a Star Alliance member.